Okay, this is the last bit of fractions, and this is about dividing fractions. So before we start, I just want to go back to your multiplying fractions for a minute. We started with 1/3 of 9, which we rewrote or thought of as 1/3 of 9 divided by 1. We multiplied the tops. 1 times 9 is 9. We multiplied the denominators, the bottoms. 3 times 1 is 3. And we went, oh, 9 divided by 3 equals 3. So 1/3 of 9 equals 3. And then we looked at some multiplying fractions by actual fractions. So something like 1/2 of a third. And I'll draw you a picture of what 1/2 of a third looks like. Oh, they're not really thirds. There's 1/2. So there's a third. And 1/2 of it, we have to divide all our thirds into half. 1/2 of a third, that's this bit, is actually 1/6 of the whole thing. And just to show you that fractions are no different from any other number, I can also find 1/3 of a half, and it's going to be the same thing, 1/6. And let's get a picture of what that looks like. 1/3 of a half. Well, there's a half. And okay, so 1/3 of that half, or I divide that half into 3 pieces, but of course I'm going to follow those lines all the way through and divide both my halves into 3 pieces. So 1/3 of a half is this little bit here, and that is 1/6. So 1/2 times 1/3 is 6, 1/3 times 1/2 is 6. But we're here to look at dividing fractions. So to understand dividing fractions, we have to start by understanding something called a reciprocal. I'm going to write that down, not with my eraser, but with a pen. Reciprocal. And what a reciprocal means is it's what do I multiply this thing by to get the answer of 1? And we've already looked at things like 1/3 times 3. 1/3 of 3 is 1. Or you can look at it as 1/3 times 3 over 1 equals 3 over 3 times 1 is 3 equals 1. So the reciprocal of 1/3 is 3, or 3 over 1. So what do I multiply 1/3 by to get 1? The answer is 3. The reciprocal of 1/9 is 9. 9/9. So the reciprocal of 9, 1/9 times 9 equals 1. So the reciprocal of 9 is 1/9. The reciprocal of 1/9 is 9. It's what I multiply that thing by to get 1. And it follows with other fractions as well. So the reciprocal of 2/5 is going to be 5 over 2. And that equals 1. And I can test that out. 2, so get rid of that answer. 2 times 5 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 over 10 equals 1. Any fraction you like, the reciprocal, the thing you multiply it by to get 1, is the flipped upside down version of the same thing. So 3/7, I'm telling you that 3/7 times 7 over 3 is equal to 1. 3 times 7 is 21. 7 times 3 is 21, which equals 1. Okay, so these two are reciprocals of each other. 3/7 is the reciprocal of 7/3. So back to dividing fractions. Let's have a look. Let's start with something like we did 9 times 1/3. Let's go 9 divided by 1/3, which says how many thirds are there in 9 things? So let's get 9 things here. 1, 2, 8, 9 things. And let's see how many thirds there are. Well, in this one, there are 3 thirds. 1, 2, 3. In this one, there are another 3. So that's 6 thirds altogether. 9, 10, 11, 12, 25, 26, 27. So 9 divided by 1/3, that is how many thirds in 9 are there's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. There are 27 thirds in 9 wholes. Now, something I wanted to tell you before when I was talking about multiplying fractions, 1/3 times 1/2 equals 1/6, because 3 times 2 is 6. So 1/3 of a half is 1/6. And what you find when you're multiplying fractions is that the answer is always smaller than either of the things you're multiplying together. So if you're multiplying numbers like 2 times 5, you're going to end up with an answer that's bigger than either of them. When you're multiplying fractions, you're finding part of a part, and you're going to end up with a smaller part. And when you're dividing fractions, you're actually breaking up your wholes into bits. So you're going to have lots of bits. So 9 divided by 1/3. So the answer when you divide fractions is always going to be bigger than either of the things you start with. Let's do 4 divided by half. That is, how many halves in 4 things? Well, here's 4 things. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's count the halves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, when you divide fractions, it's really, really easy. All you need to do is 9 divided by 1/3 is the same as 9 times the reciprocal of 1/3. So 9 times 3 over 1. And you know, 9 over 1 times 3 over 1 equals 9 3s are 27 over 1. So you times it by the reciprocal. So you go 4 over 1 times the reciprocal, which is 2 over 1. And that's 8 over 1, which is the answer here. And it works for any kind of fraction. So let's get a clean page and go to, let's say, 2/3 divided by 1/6. This might be one I can draw a picture of before I chose it. Okay, so it's the same as saying 2/3 times the reciprocal of a 6. So that's times 6 over 1. 2 6s are 12 divided by 3, which equals 4. So you see the answer is bigger than either of the things that we're started with. So I'm going to try and draw a picture of what I'm saying here. 2/3, if I can get the pen to work. Well, that's not very helpful, is it? If my pen will work. Stop. Damn technology. Okay. I'm going to have to be able to draw a mirror image for this. Let's try again. Don't ask me how I did that. And I'm going to try and draw you a picture to help you to understand how that works. So, two-thirds divided by 6. It says how many 6 in 2/3? So let's get 2/3. 1/3. Now let's divide this circle up into 6 and ask ourselves how many 6 are there in 2/3? And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 6 in 2/3.